That would have been an awesome way to start this. The way you just said. That would have been an awesome way to start this.
I guess we can start
Yeah.
by sort of talking about the fact that I've got a picture of your granddaughter here, and I can see her on your shirt as well. And what I see is an innocent young girl who
Exactly.
should be here right now, playing in this park, perhaps.
Right. Exactly. Or other than that, if she would be here with me, she'll be with me today, passing out flyers for these other kids. If she was alive.
What happened to her?
Well, from the story that was told, they were her and her mom's boyfriend or fiance, took the kids out for the day. We went to the lake, left the lake. My granddaughter loves McDonald's. As unhealthy as it is, she loves McDonald's, and children love McDonald's. And so they stopped at McDonald's before they went home. When they got to where maybe I say about 100 feet, maybe, might not be correct, but maybe 100 feet or more before they got to their home, I'm told that they drove into a shootout between drug dealers or gang members in North Minneapolis on a street called 36 and Penn Avenue North. And one of the bullets, while she was eating her McDonald's in the back seat, struck her in the head. They rushed her to the hospital. I believe she was on life support. She survived through the night. The next day, my baby was announced that she was dead. So they murdered her. This was after two other children were shot. A 10-year-old who was still in the hospital fighting with a bullet wound to his head, and I believe an 8 or 9-year-old little girl was shot in her head also, who eventually died, was murdered also.
Hearing you say the word murder, it's quite chilling, isn't it? I mean, I imagine you would never expect something like this to come so close and to, sort of essentially devastate your family.
Never. I've had nightmares about stuff happening to me and other grown-ups, stuff like that. But I've never, ever, not even a thought, imagine nothing ever happening to one of my grandchildren. Never, ever. All I could ever think about is them growing up to be somebody like you, somebody like Ryan, somebody cameraman, somebody like a guy here, a politician, pastor, school teacher, police, somebody that was helping somebody in the community, because this is how I was raising her up, and I was trying to be that positive example. And even though I was, she was inspiring me. So I would have never, this is the worst nightmare that continues to go on daily, especially since there is no one in jail.
Can you describe that pain and what it feels like? If you were to give people, or wanted to give people an insight into just how this has shattered you, your family, the wider community, can you put into words what it feels like?
It's like laying down on your back with your eyes closed, but you're woke. And somebody creeps into the room with a chainsaw and just takes a chainsaw and just cuts open your chest like this and rips out your heart. But the veins and stuff, and they're showing it to you. It's like this. Veins and stuff are still connected to it, so you're not dead, and you're looking at it. And it's shattering. It's the deepest heartbreak that could be known because of that innocence. You know what I mean? And so just to see her smile, which was all the time, and to just know that this little child was just a little innocent child, that something like this can happen, that she can receive a bullet in her head. So it goes from hurt, I wish I could have protected her, I wish I could have been there to take that bullet or any bullets that would have came, and there's tears, and there's a sadness on the inside that hurts so bad that why couldn't I have been there to take that, to an anger and a rage that you want instant gratification right now, like somebody should be in jail, like somebody needs to tell and talk about this. And then there's a fear that because these individuals are still out here, somebody else may be sitting doing an interview like I'm doing right now, talking about how it feels for their child to be shot and killed by the same ones who shot and killed my granddaughter, shot and killed Trinity, and shot LaDavionne in the head. So there's like emotions of sadness to emotions of anger and rage and frustration, and you're impatient. Like my patience is just gone. Like how long? When is it? When am I gonna get a call? Waking up every day, I run to my phone and I'm looking, hoping that there's a missed call there from maybe my buddy Ryan, Sister Lisa, or the police saying, KG, we got him. But I look at my phone and no. So now, got a whole other day. So I'm taking a shower and getting myself together and texting Ryan and saying, Ryan, I'm going back out to the streets today with flyers, which is what I'm gonna be doing after we get through with this interview, which is what I would be doing if I wasn't sitting here right now. So hopefully, and that's why I continue to do this, hopefully somebody can feel my hurt, feel my pain, and see my anger, and find it in their hearts that know who did this to say, I can't take it no more. I got to tell somebody, I got to call somebody, Crime Stoppers, I got to call KG, somebody, and say, hey, I can't take this no more. I don't want my children to end up dead yet. I know who did this. This is who did this. So that's what I continue to do. Whatever interview I can. I'm out here in the streets, in the community, social media. Not just for my granddaughter, not for just the three, yes, for them, but to hopefully that I could save somebody else's child from being shot and killed by these child killers that's still out here.
What was your last conversation? Do you remember it? Do you remember those? Last time you saw it?
Yeah, and I gotta find a picture. I don't know if I sent Ryan that picture. I had a picture of me when I went to go pick her up. First thing she got to do was take her to grandma's. She got to stop at McDonald's, and so that's something, because my last thing was taking her to McDonald's and taking her to her grandma's house. And so I was just telling her how big she's getting, but you're not a big girl. You're Papa's baby. She wanted to be a big girl, but she was Papa's baby. And so I would always tell her, they said, I'm not a baby no more. I said, yes, you are. You're Papa's baby. And so, but she wanted to be a big girl, like kids today, but she was a baby. She was a sweet little precious baby. And we just talked and a little bit in the car, and then got her something to eat, and she was in heaven. That was her thing, eating at McDonald's. And I took her to her grandma's, and then I had to go to a meeting and speak. And so that was my last time with her. You can't phantom something like this happening to your 6-year-old grandchild. If I would have knew something like this was gonna happen and I would never see her again alive, there probably would have been a detour. You know, I could have did things differently, but this child wasn't sick or nothing like that. She was a healthy child, so you always figure you have time. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, I didn't have time.
Goodbye. They go to rest. Say goodbye.
That was one of the hardest things for for me. Everybody else was in the church. I was probably one of the last ones to come in. I think my family and they were waiting for me to come in. I had to prepare myself outside to go in because it was just so much for me to see her there, laying in the casket. I think there's a picture up. I don't know if who I sent it to, of me standing over her casket. And that first, even when I stood over, I hadn't looked down yet. And then when I looked down, that is a feeling I don't want anybody to ever feel. Ever feel. Ever. And like I said, I still say I would have took that bullet for her that hit her. I would have did that. I believe that I have done what I needed to do in my life as a peace activist, but this child didn't have that chance. She could have grew up and been something great, you know, and carried on that legacy. So yeah, that was the hardest time for me. As a matter of fact, I was kind of selfish with it because I had forgot all about there was a line of people waiting to come and view her body. And I forgot. It was just me and her at that time. And finally, I happened to turn around and I see a line of people. They were like giving me the time, but I was really being selfish with, you know, with that time.
I'm wondering if you could put into words and describe what tomorrow means. You see Derek Chauvin, who has been the focus of the city for quite some time. You know, you see who everyone has been talking about. And he's pretty much been the centre of everyone's mind. For some, it's a case of justice in the city, seeing what he did to George Floyd. But as that story ends, we've got tales like what your family are going through that's getting underway. What is happening in Minneapolis at the moment? I mean, on the outside, it seems like a very violent place.
Well, let me say this. I gotta say, in the black community, it has always been easy to point to the other man, but never easy to point to the brother man. So it will always be blew up when it's about somebody else doing something to us other than us doing something. This right here, these 3 children that have been shot, black children in the black community by, I guarantee you, some black individuals, gang members or whatever they are. I call them monsters. This is something that our community does not want to look at. It does not want to face. It does not want to see. Because the blame is on us and our children. What they've done to our children. We can't blame the police. We can't blame the so-called other race, the white man, the Chinese man, the whatever. Now we have to face what we do to each other, and now it's publicly seen what's going on now because of the children. It has been going on a long time, but when the focus comes out that it's children, now we're killing our own babies. Last couple years, our seniors, grandmothers. So now, if you're talking about what happened, I think, was it a year ago, with the George Floyd situation, which happened in South Minneapolis, 38th Street. I used to live on the next block. With Derek Chauvin. You're talking about something that, some news that continues to come up that people feel comfortable about talking about. See, if you were to just go around town and just go to visit stores and grocery stores, you will hear people, even over here in North Minneapolis. You know how far we are from South Minneapolis, 38th Chicago? If you were to go in the Cubs food store right now, you will hear people talking about the George Floyd and the Chauvins. Black people talking about the justice and what they're doing, something that happened a year ago. And it happened in South Minneapolis. 3 black children were shot over here, 2 were murdered. Only a month and weeks ago, right close by this area, you will not hear nobody talk about it at all. And it happened right close by here. The reason why? Because it's us. and what we do to us is shameful. And we can't blame somebody else now. So it's easy to blame somebody else. It's easy to rally and protest and show up and be on the news and the camera. Nobody's going to be on the news and camera over here talking about what happened to those 3 babies, those 3 children. But you will get thousands of people to talk about what happened on 38th in Chicago over a year ago.
And that's what you want, isn't it? The same energy that was invested for George Floyd.
Exactly. I mean, you know what I mean? I would like that, but reality knows that I've seen over the years. In my 18 years, I've never seen it happen. That would be something if it's new and it started to happen, but it's not going to happen. Because like I said, it's about us and what we do to each other. You're not going to hear about that. That's not going to be the daily talk. If you do, it'll be people whispering. They're not going to be saying it out loud. Do I have a second to give you an example? At my job in North Minneapolis, I'm a security guard at a grocery store. I'm standing at the door when the first 10-year-old was shot, okay? I'm waiting for people to come in and say something about it. Not one people out of the 100 people who came in that store that day said one word about it. Later on, 8-year-old Trinity was shot in the head. That's 2 kids now shot in the head. I'm standing at the door. People are coming in, not one person says anything about it. My granddaughter gets shot. She's killed. Now we have 2 kids that are killed. Nobody's coming in saying anything except the people who know me. I'm sorry, I apologize. So now after the funeral and everything is over, at my job I have our posters, our flyers posted up all over the place, right? A guy comes in. There was just a shooting on Lake Street. Another shooting, police shooting. A guy walks to the door. He says nothing about the flyers that are up for we're in North Minneapolis where these shootings happen to these 3 kids. He says nothing about it. He says nothing to me. He stops at the front door and screams out loud as he can. Another black man was shot by the police. This is over in South Minneapolis, Lake Street. He goes all through the whole store announcing it. Another black man was shot by the police. Every person that came behind him came in. A black man was shot by the police. Nobody mentioned the 3 kids, innocent children, that was shot. 2 murdered. I got a problem with that. So the problem can't be them. It got to be us. And until we start to take responsibility for our problem, we shouldn't even be trying to point the finger at somebody else.
What about defunding the police? I mean, that seems to backfire.
Most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
So
you don't defund the police. If you got bad everything. Not just police. There's going to be bad everything. Nobody's perfect. If you got somebody bad, get rid of them. Like in our community, these children are shot and killed because of the bad people we never got rid of. They've been around here for years. I've been warning. So if you got bad police, get rid of them and let the good police come in and police the community. There's good police been doing a great job for years. How I know? Because I've worked right there with them. I've worked beside them, some of my best friends. So you're gonna have a bad apple every now and then or whatever. There is not a police shooting every day, but there is a shooting in the community every day. Every day.
We got a real sense of your frustration.
I know, man.
We really do appreciate you talking to us, and I hope from elements of this interview, people will see and really understand
Exactly
what's happening here. So thank you.
Exactly.
We're just gonna stay where we are. We can get some extra shots if that's okay.
You said yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to do that separate. So we're going to do that separately. We're just going to get some extra shots. Richard? Yes. I'm thinking if you want to sort of use the tree as a foreground or something. Okay. Or whatever. Okay. Rally.
Exactly. some of these families are harboring them and hiding them. They can't tell or turn them in because they're their family. So, I got a problem with that also, because eventually those who watch the videos here, just like me, I didn't know I was going to be, my daughter would be killed. So I'm warning you, and I'm begging people to please, man, before you're on the other end of this camera. I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop. I mean, I'm in this to, even if it costs me my life. And you guys got to come back and talk about how I died trying to get justice, because I'm not gonna stop. I'm out here daily. This is my mission, my new mission in life. What I did 18 years as a peace activist, that's then. This is now. From this point on, is justice, getting justice for my granddaughter and these 2 other children. Hopefully, with that justice, it saves somebody else's life. Because our children are our future, and they are our future leaders. So I'm serious about this, man. I am serious about this. Yeah, I talked to Bishop Powell today. Yeah, I think one of their former members was just killed also. Also, actually, right after my daughter's funeral, there was another funeral there. It was actually, I think it was, who was it? I think it was the young man that was shot downtown Minneapolis, I believe, and somebody was killed there at the church. At the funeral, yeah. And then they went and left, because after the funeral, they proceeded to the cemetery, and these people went to the cemetery and shot up the cemetery and shot some people. So, we got a problem here. Why ain't nobody talking about that? Because it wasn't a white police. So, let's keep it up under here. Somebody gotta tell it. Somebody gotta warn the people. Everybody can't be afraid. I say you gotta live for something and die for something. You got to. Other than that, you're gonna live for nothing and die for nothing.
Richard, can we get a close up of the show?
Yeah.
It's really close.
Can we, yeah.
What do you want to do? Can we get it from this way?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey, I would not be surprised. The last interview, check this out. The last interview, I sure wish we could have got this on camera, but we will. The last interview I was doing like this, I was telling them, I said, as we're doing this interview, it's so bad here in Minneapolis that there could be a shooting right now while we're doing this. After we finish the interview and we're putting up the stuff, a guy comes riding up right see that sidewalk?
Yeah.
With that sidewalk, sitting outside the car, pow, 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 and shot up the school. Right where we were standing here. We're right here, and we're watching him riding down the street, shooting. It happened just like that. And I was just about to tell you, while we're sitting here, we could witness a shooting. That's how bad it is. Why isn't that something that we're hearing about? Why are we covering that up? Who's covering it up? That's happening right now. Right now. But we defocusing, not saying that something else is important from a year ago, yes, but we should be focusing on the safety that's going on right here, that's not present. People are calling me and texting me daily, KG, I need to move, I need to get out. I don't know how to get out, I can't afford to leave. And it's sad when you can't afford to leave and you have to stay here and die. And a lot of people, because they couldn't move, have died or have been killed. The ones that's able to get out are the lucky ones.
might go and escalate crime. It's taking longer. It's a lot more complex. That's what we do.
It's somewhat like what you just said, but it was a plan. I want you to put in your mind, you're a criminal in Minneapolis, selling drugs, robbing, shooting people. The only person that you have that's against you, because you got the community terrified. That's why they won't tell. The only person you got that's against you, that's trying to stop you from doing that, is the police. So if you find a way to get rid of the police, you can completely take over the entire city, completely terrorize the whole city, because now nobody can call the police. Because trust me, it'd be way worse than it is without the police. The presence of them still being here is helping a lot, trust me. So this was a dream for criminals. If I was criminals in New York, California, Chicago, wherever in the world, watching what's been going on here in Minnesota, and they're talking about getting rid of defunding the police, I would pack my stuff and move to Minnesota. Because they defunding the police, there's no police there. We can go there and set up shop and help become terrorists there in Minnesota. Because there's no police there. So this is good for some, bad for others. So now the good people who the police were helping, and they were in community with communication with the police. You're talking about police and community relations. Police and community relations. It hurts them.
Yeah.
But it's a great thing for the criminals.
Yeah. Are you happy with the number?
Yeah.
There?
Yeah.
So I just get a reverse shot. Let me listening, and then that's it.
Yep.
And then we'll just do the 5 really. Wow. So how's the rest of the sort of the wider sort of campaign? I know obviously you're not going to give up at the moment.
No.
I mean, are you getting much sort of support from the authorities here as well in terms of what you're asking for and what you're sort of getting?
Well, actually, like I said, and I've said before, I've worked with a lot of the.
Which you're going to do it over the show, over KG's shoulder then?
I have worked with a lot of the police who've been on the force for some years. I've worked with them, especially homicide, and I pretty much know the procedure of how things go.
Yeah.
So until they get some solid information that they can give me, as far as with them, all I can do is wait and have some patience. But far as the community who I actually know, the police can't do the job without the community. So they need information from the community. So I have no patience for this community who knows who shot these children. I have no patience. I have anger and I have rage because they know. The police have to get the information from the community, and they're not giving that. So that's what I'm dealing with right now on a daily basis. And so that's why I'm going through this right now. And that's where my anger and my rage is coming from. Because I'm hearing that people know. People tell me people know, but they're afraid to tell. And they're going to continue to be afraid to tell until one of their children are shot and killed by the same individuals, the same monsters. Too good to be called. That call them individuals don't even go. These same monsters. Because if you could shoot these children and still be out here and don't turn yourself in, you are a monster. And those who know who did it, you're a monster also. And I mean that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping you can get the people.
Exactly. And really I'm hoping that they get to see this, which they're gonna see it through your story or our story. I'm gonna continue to be out here. They're gonna see me until this justice happens. 36 and Penn, where it happened at, I haven't been back over there, and I said I wouldn't go back over there until justice, when I'm going to celebrate justice. So that's where I am with that.
Perfect. Okay. You happy?
Yeah.
So we can
We're good.
do
Yeah.
the quick sequence with the flies,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Yep.
Awesome. maybe we